Hey guys, if you're watching this, this is the YouTube version of a training we did live on Zoom earlier this week. We tried to improve the quality for you a little bit, bigger slides, better resolution. There's also, if you look in the description below, there's timestamps to different sections of the training, so you can find out exactly what you're looking for. And you should also find links to all the assets that we reference in the training. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at 475consulting.com and we'd be happy to get back to you. Basically, this is campaign training for a digital response team. And then that's gonna be like the first 20 minutes or so. And then we're gonna spend like 20 minutes going over some theory for campaign communications in terms for social media. It's a little bit deeper. So if anybody is just only interested in the first part, please feel free. I'm gonna let you guys know you can leave after that. But if you wanna stay and find out a little bit about how to best use social media, the formatting and stuff like that in order to maximize your engagement, stick around for the second half. So by default, I think we now realize that Zoom has won. It is now the video conferencing app of choice for your constituents, and every campaign should have a paid account that will enable you to go live, like we just showed you on Facebook. And again, don't forget to fill out the metadata and include titles and tags. It really helps Facebook learn who to show it to and learn how to show it to people who haven't yet connected to your channel. There is one page which you guys have to fill out on account settings. There's one setting that is hard to find. It is hidden down the bottom. See, I can't even find it now. Control find. Allow Facebook live streaming for meetings. So obviously, if anybody's setting this up for a campaign, just email me or Will. We'll help you find it. We'll get you set up. But other than that, as long as you have a paid account, you have this selected, then streaming to Facebook is just as easy as we just showed you. For those of you watching on YouTube, obviously you didn't see how we first started streaming this training to Facebook. So this is just a quick little how-to. You go over here to More, and click Live on Facebook. And then this will let you pick where you want to share to. So maybe a page you manage. And I could pick any of these down here. Click Next. Facebook's prepping your stream. It's not going to go live yet. It doesn't go live after the next page where you fill in the data. All right, and here's where you input your description, your title, tags, and a poll if you want one. There's some other cool options. Play around with it, but it's generally pretty easy. Then you click Go Live, you'll be live right away. One last thing while I have you that you guys don't normally see is if you're trying to share a screen or let somebody else share their screen, there's this little button right here, and you have to click multiple participants can share simultaneously. And that will allow other people to share their screen at the same time. All right, so back to the training. And then just to give you guys some verbiage, reach is the total number of individuals who encounter a piece of content. Doesn't matter if they see it once or twice or 3 times, just the total number of individuals. Impressions is like a view, but also applies to static content, so just a picture. That's the number of times a piece of media is viewed once by each visitor. And finally, engagement is the number of public shares, likes, comments, and that also now includes obviously the little emojis you see on Facebook, whether it's the caring or love or laugh buttons. And so basically, what the job of a digital response team is to make the most use out of the campaign content. And that's because right now we have people consuming a lot of media. So this is results from the Nielsen company in late 2018. The average person consumes 10.5 hours of media a day. So that is older groups. You have the blue bars at the bottom, that's TV or time delayed TV. But see these orange bars? That's app web on a smartphone. Lighter yellow is internet on a computer. So even in the 65 plus, you see over on the far side here, you have people consuming over an hour to almost 2 hours of internet, whether it's on a computer or on a smartphone. And so Your job as a digital response team is really to try to maximize the reach of campaign content. So what you guys will have is usually one person coordinating a team for, say, a house race of 4 to 8 people. You guys should be on an email or a text message thread, I think is actually the better one, so that when a piece of content goes out from the campaign or when it goes out on a neutral channel, say like a local newspaper, the campaign will let you know, and you guys can go and engage with that. And it's really important because with so many people stuck at home during COVID and with so many people consuming so much media, candidates don't have the opportunity to go out and engage with people at events or maybe even knocking doors. So in order to garner a positive sentiment, you want to make sure that any content going out about a campaign is positively biased by ourselves or by other people engaging with it. For instance, we had a campaign recently who announced had a newspaper article written about them at a local paper, and the first 2 comments at the bottom of that were negative from local RTC members, Republican Town Committee. And for all we know, that could be the only time or the first time that local residents engage with that campaign. And so the point of a digital response team is to not only push our content further on our own channels, but also to seed positive information on other channels. One of the things that'll make this easier, and I probably don't have to tell anybody younger to do this, but get a Gmail account. A lot of people, especially older people, are still using other like optonline.net or Yahoo accounts. And there's just a lot of tools that you'll want to use. One we're going to go over in a second, but even just like accessing team folders or team drives. We're going to go over something called the community response matrix. So getting a Gmail account, and this doesn't have to be campaign specific. I would actually suggest switching over to Gmail as your main personal account. I just had an issue this morning where I had a DTC communications chair whose OptOnline account is now filled up, like they reached their data storage limit. So I'm texting them, I'm like, watch out. And one of the things you can do with a Gmail account, obviously, is set up news alerts. And this is because as part of the digital response team, you guys aren't there just to boost the content that is going out from the campaign, but also to engage with posts about the candidate and on other platforms. You guys are there to engage with content that's going out on other platforms. So you guys want to be aware when news articles are coming out. So you can go to google.com/alerts if you have a Google account, which is a Gmail account, and set up news alerts about the candidate. I get them from a multitude of campaigns and they're really useful. It also helps you guys do opposition research for your opponents and see what's coming out about them. And so we're going to switch over and show you guys an example of a community response matrix. Every team or campaign should have one of these, and we have this set up. A community response matrix is something that should be administered by the campaign, but is for use by not only campaign communications team, but also the digital response team. And what you do is you list in sections based upon issues, the different questions that the campaign might get. So for instance, these are just silly examples, but why must we stop at stop signs? Is this a First Amendment issue? Then what you have is a column for the candidate response. So this is for, say, the campaign, the person who's handling the campaign Facebook account now has an example of how the candidate would respond to that specific question. So that the next time this question comes up, whether it's a text message thread, an email, or a Facebook post, the volunteer can respond as the candidate in the appropriate way. And then for the digital response team, who's going onto these posts or seeing this activity on a social media channel, you should also include talking points. This can include things that are positive for the candidate or even negative against their opponent. For instance, the candidate introduced a stop sign initiative legislation in 2014, or the opponent tried to ban stop signs in 2010. And this is so when you guys are engaging on posts about the campaign, you guys can throw out factoids or make better arguments in order to support your candidate. And so finally, for the digital response team, we want you guys to be more engaged across all platforms. You guys should have news alerts set up. You guys should have a email thread or text message where the campaign is letting you know when content becomes available to engage with. And the question is then, where do you engage? And you should only engage on content channels that are your own, aka the campaigns, or on neutral platforms. Neutral platform would be, an example of that would be a local town newspaper, or say like a local mom's school Facebook page, or a local, does anybody have a good example of a Facebook page in Fairfield or Easton, which people interact with?
Moms of Easton, Moms of Fairfield, Easton 411, anything like that.
Exactly. So those are all great examples of places you should be engaging, and you should be actively communicating with people. I think it's important in Facebook that, say if you're on a content post that your candidate put out and somebody has a really good argument supporting them, make sure you're liking that comment. You don't have to respond to everyone, but you should be putting your own comment, and then you should be liking everybody else's positive and just boosting those. Because the more engagement you get on an individual thread, the farther Facebook will push it to other people, and not necessarily even people that are within the organizations. They don't have to have already liked the candidate's page, but because their friends do and their friends are engaging with it, it's now going to get pushed to them. And so then we always get the question of trolls. What do you do when people are actively arguing or being negative? And obviously, I'm going to caveat what I'm about to say with there's a line. If people are being extremely toxic, or if people are threatening an individual, using anything racist or discriminatory, then you should notify the people who manages the campaign thread, because they should probably be those comments should be hidden or taken down, and they might need to be blocked. But if they are simply arguing and being, Democrats are destroying the country, Trump 2020, these people are your best friends. Because Facebook doesn't understand the sentiment of any content that's being posted on the thread. All they know is more people are engaging. So if you see somebody wanting to engage in an argument on your channel, on your digital real estate, go for it. That's great. Because now you're going to have 27 comments deep. Facebook sees all this extra engagement. And again, this content will get pushed to other people in the surrounding area, simply because of the higher level of engagement. But it's why we also say it's only important to only engage on your channels and neutral platforms, because if you get into an argument on, say, the opposition's page, you're going to be providing that benefit to them. So a great example is, say if the opposition puts out a piece of content which is getting a lot of traction or starting a community argument, don't engage on theirs. Let the campaign know that you've seen this, that it's getting some traction. Have the campaign put out their own response to it on their own channel, and then you guys should engage there. In terms of digital response team, I think that's kind of the overview. I think you guys have an idea of what your responsibilities are. The campaign will ask you to comment on almost every piece, and definitely like the other positive comments and like the post itself. I think sharing is very personal. So even though the campaign might ask once or twice to share something, say if it's a new candidate and they have their intro video out, it's appropriate for the campaign to ask once, but you don't have to. Sharing is obviously very personal with your own page. And the campaign shouldn't be asking to share everything. I think that's not realistic. People aren't going to do it. But other than that, does anybody have any questions about the roles and responsibilities of people in the digital response team or the people leading that team? Not seeing anything. Will?
I'm not seeing any hands, so.
All right. Okay, and then guys, so that's kind of like the first 20 minutes. The next 20 minutes are going to be a slightly deeper dive on the theory of both Facebook and other social media channels, and how to use that best for a political campaign. First, I just want to go over we call the 4 main social media channels the social 4: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. We don't recommend that campaigns do their own individual Twitter account anymore. Twitter should be personal for the actual candidate. So you don't need to create, let's say Ann Hughes for state rep Twitter account. It should just be Ann Hughes' Twitter. That is different from Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, where you need to have campaign accounts, not only for campaign rules, but also because if you're doing any advertising, it has to be done that way. We're going to start off with Facebook and kind of move down. And we're going to start off with some analysis of how posts work and how the different people they reach. So this is reach analysis. And again, reach is individual people who see a post. And we break reach down into two types, network reach and outside reach. So although you can see that this is the average for all the links they posted. And you can see on average, they reach just over 140 people. This is Newtown DTC in 2018. And the blue bar is how many people in their network they reach, AKA how many people who already liked their channel that saw that piece of content. And then the orange bar is outside reach. That's how many people, additional people, outside of the people who like the page, that post was pushed to based upon their friends and local neighbors engaging with it. And again, these are going to be averages of the different types of posts. See on our next slide, there are 5 different main types of posts on Facebook. There's video, which is video that your campaign or page itself created. Status updates, which are just simply text only. Shared video, it's when you're sharing video from another page. Say if there's like a now this video, which you're sharing across to your campaign page because it's a great infographic or something. Photo posts, which are obviously just self-explanatory, photos and links. And you've seen a bunch of those, like whenever you post an article from the Washington Post or something like that. So what we see here is that Facebook algorithm prefers video. And not only prefers video because it's more engaging, but you have to think about what social media platforms are trying to do. They're advertising at people basically. And so anything that keeps people on platform for longer, they prefer. And you'll see here, not only is it do video posts on average perform better within your own network, gets seen by more people, but also the amount of people outside your network that it gets pushed to is exponentially greater. And so for this is Fairfield DTC 2018. This is all video posts. This is for the entire year. But this also includes things like hour-long streams of debates or an RTM meeting. So this also includes what I would call non-produced content, which still gets, again, Facebook still pushes up further. At the bottom, we did a series of 4 videos for Fairfield DTC of like 2 to 3 minute clips, very much produced content with text, closed captions, and background music on individual subjects. And that goes much further. So if a little bit of effort when it comes to putting out a piece of content will really get pushed. And you can see, instead of in the hundreds now, we're entering the thousands quite quickly in terms of the number of people reached. And that's people outside of your network. So for a campaign trying to reach people that are new, it's essential. Next slide we have is catenary maxims. So we were on catenary maxims 2018 campaign for probate judge in Fairfield. And what we realized is that because Facebook uses a trailing average of how good your post did before to dictate how many people it will show your next piece of content to, what we did is we cut out status updates and shared video. Because shared video, it punishes you for because it realizes you're not doing the work of that video, somebody else put in the work. And status updates are obviously the least engaging form of content. So for her entire campaign, we didn't do either of those posts. And now you can see that not only are we reaching more people on average, but obviously that's going to be dependent upon the natural size of the natural network for the campaign. But what's more important is the difference in ratios. Now you can see that the number of people inside your network was much smaller, even on photos and links. And so it really enables a campaign to, again, reach out and engage with those people that are harder to engage with. And again, this is all video average, and the bottom is her launch video, which is obviously a more produced piece of content. Again, same pattern. We just see it go exponentially further. And then finally, I grabbed Newtown because Newtown in 2018, I had nothing to do with. So Fairfield, obviously, we were quite actively helping to manage that channel, but Newtown, Eric Paradis, the chair there, was nice enough to download their data and give it to us, and you see the exact same patterns all over again. So this is not unique to us curating a certain channel a certain way. And finally, just to reinforce the point, we took, I believe this is from Newtown, yep, Newtown again, we took their best photo and their best video. And we took saw the number of likes and shares and comments and total engagements, and then the total organic outside reach, which again is that orange part of the bar. And you can see that even though the photo had more likes and more shares and more comments, the video still got pushed further. And that's a function of social media platforms' preference for longer form engaging content. So a little bit more effort in terms of putting a video instead of a picture will pay off in terms of the total reach. Hey guys, there's just one more thing we want to show you about sharing videos between Facebook pages. That actually Facebook changed just this week, so now it's a little bit different since Monday when we actually did the training. We told you how Facebook will punish a page for sharing video content from another page because it knows you didn't put the work in and it won't give you that boost of engagement we talked about. There's a way that you can actually share content between pages that are aligned, which you get around that, and it acts as if it's the original content of both pages. For instance, say if you have a house campaign page and a local DTC. What you do is be on the page you're looking to share it to. You have to be an admin on both pages and go to Publishing Tools. And then within Publishing Tools, you go to videos you can cross-post with. And so because I'm an admin on all the pages that posted this content here, I can select any of these videos, go to Actions, and create a post with this video. And Facebook actually treats this as original content again and doesn't punish your outside reach because it's like you're taking content from somebody else. And back to the training. One of the most important things we think when planning social media for any campaign is make a calendar. Social media channels have a hierarchy of how often you can post to them. And that is a function of how engaging and how quickly people can slip through posts. For instance, Facebook is usually the longest form content, whether it's in terms of video length or it's a long article people want to read or a long piece of text. So we'll show you a example calendar here. We don't think you guys should be posting to Facebook like more than, especially right now, not more than 7 times a week. 1 Facebook post a day, scheduled for like 6 a.m. ahead of time, using your publishing tools or the Creator app, Creator Studio. Means that you're not what we call stacking your content. Because if you post 2 or 3 things a day on a Facebook page that only has 1,000 or even a couple thousand members, Facebook now has to make a decision of which piece of content to show that to, or which piece of content to show your follower. And because people don't scroll through their newsfeed as quickly as say like Instagram or Twitter, where it's much more quickly consumed, that's going to hurt your engagement rate because not as many people just aren't going to see it. And therefore, that trailing average you talked about where Facebook decides, oh, well, in the past they were this engaged, so we're only going to show it to this many people or this extra many people in the future, that gets hurt. So you don't want to stack Facebook posts. So we recommend scheduling like 3 posts a week, and then you'll have a news cycle post, like something Trump does or something a local rep does will come out, and you can just post about that instantly. And then you probably on the weekends, you want to schedule like an event post or a candidate update. We're recommending everybody does get set up to do really short videos on Saturday to try to make up for the lack of events. And then obviously with Creator Studio now, I can switch over to that real quick. So this is Creator Studio for Facebook and Instagram. Obviously, I think most people know that Facebook and Instagram are the same company. And so what this allows you to do is not only post content, but more importantly, and now this is new for Instagram, schedule it ahead of time. And so if you are working with a campaign or your campaign manager and you're thinking about what to post, you can create, pick an infographic out, make it in Canva. We'll explain that a little bit, and then go to schedule a post. Go for Carla. I'm just gonna grab something from my hard drive. Boom, it's a picture of my friend Josh looking very nerdy. And not only can we post to Facebook at the same time, so you don't have to do this twice, but you can also schedule it to go at the same time on your Instagram. And so when you're making a calendar of posts for the week, this makes the job a lot easier. We're not going to post Josh. So like we said, Facebook, I think any campaign right now doing between say like 4 and 7 posts a week is doing just fine. Stories has obviously changed that up. Stories, every campaign should have a linked Instagram account, and you guys can do as many stories as you want every day. Like literally go nuts. If you can get the candidate to do it, that's great. It's harder, especially some other older candidates, to get them used to doing video. And we're gonna talk about a program that's gonna help you with that as well. But literally you can post as much as you want to stories, and please make sure they're on Instagram so you can forward them to Facebook stories as well. Instagram posts, again, if it's Facebook is 4 to 7, Instagram, go up to like 14. Instagram is people consume Instagram content faster. It's just the nature of the medium. So you don't have that same problem of stacking posts and not getting as much engagement. And then Twitter, you can tweet as much as you want. If you can get the candidate to tweet, we don't think that Twitter is that important, especially what I would call like for the house races, but the opportunity cost in terms of reposting content that you're planning for Facebook and Instagram anyway, to then just forward to Twitter as well, there's no real time loss there. So you should be actively using it, but it's not the most essential form of communication, especially for House or Senate races, which I think most people are working on. Obviously, if you get a job interning for Jim Himes or Chris Murphy, that is completely not flipped on its head. And I think it's important for social media content and even for the digital response team to always be authentic. People are astute at sensing when somebody's not being authentic. If you're just rah-rahing something and you don't really mean it, or just overly positive or overly negative, I think it's important for you guys to engage in terms of liking, and you can comment something that's nondescript. You don't have to always put out a comment that's making a really strong.
Setup mode is off. Just a moment while this device reconnects.
Thanks, Alexa. So you guys don't always have to put up a really long, detailed argument about why the candidate believes this or why you believe in the candidate. If we just want some engagement on a Facebook post, just put a heart emoji and just click post. And then just look at the other comments, and anything that's beneficial to the candidate, just click like. So don't force it if you can't, nothing comes to you, but just try to do it as authentically as possible. And then we're gonna go into some technical tips and tricks, some programs, some tools, which we think are gonna make it a lot easier for campaigns to run their social media. The first is one that I use all the time because my spelling is terrible. It's Grammarly.com. It logs in as if you install it, installs as a browser extension, and it automatically checks your spelling on all your different platforms, but it also checks your grammar. So it's definitely better than Google's default spell check. And when writing things for posts or creating something, it's a huge help. Again, it's free. I recommend everybody gets it. The next is Canva. If people haven't experienced it yet, if you're creating content for a campaign, Canva is a free photo editing platform. It's more than a photo editing platform. It's a free. You can make everything from postcards to event calendar pictures to Instagram posts. And it's basically a platform that gives you a whole set of tools and templates to create content quickly and easily. Again, this is completely free. We usually advise a campaign to have a set of logos and color schemes to quickly customize the templates. Actually, let me go into it real quick because it's just that easy. And Google. And so you see here, like there's a postcard, here's an Instagram post. They're starting to do video now too. But say if you wanted to do let's do a Instagram post for the 4th of July. I know that's passed already. And let's say we want to do, let's see what they have for voting. Or something more generic. Change. So again, all these templates, which are just super easily customizable, and they make creating dynamic and engaging content so much easier. All you have to do is either swap out your own photos, swap out your own logo, or even just change the color of a background to match the color scheme that a campaign is using. It's a really powerful tool. I really advise that every campaign does it, because if you're trying to create your own stuff from scratch in Photoshop or in whatever editor you're using, it's a lot of wasted time. And we said a little bit in the beginning again, I think that people underappreciate the importance of metadata. Tag everything. That's how Facebook knows where you are, who's around you, and who else to show this to. One of the biggest things and one of the most success I've had in past campaigns is when candidates visit farmers markets. We tag every single stall that's there with the pictures we're taking of the farmers market. Because not only do local businesses love the attention, but now everybody who's friends of that local business is going to be shown that post, or more likely to be at least. So filling out locations, organizations, businesses, and tagging individuals is one of the most important things you can do in terms of reaching more people, especially that outside reach. That is obviously the most coveted form of reach for a campaign. Another really important thing is like capturing. We were just talking about this with Sarah before we were starting, of how easy this is on a campaign to do and how effective it is. So basically, I'm just gonna actually show you guys an example of doing it real quick. Let's go to a Facebook page. Let's go to, Carla has a new video out this morning. Let's see if she has any likes. So this is Carla, she's running in the 134th for Fairfield and Trumbull. And anytime a campaign puts out a piece of content, obviously you see likes. And if you're a manager on that campaign, you can click this little button down here, which shows you the aggregate number of like hearts and thumbs up. If you click that, it then gives you the ability to invite anybody who engaged with that piece of content who doesn't already like the channel. So this one's not a great example because all those were tinted out because everybody, all right, so let's try this one. All right, what I think is happening here is that somebody's doing their job. Yeah. So somebody's going through the content and already doing this, which is great because it's exactly what the campaign's supposed to be doing. Let's find another one, 10. Yeah, so Carla, it's probably Nick Kapoor, who is Carla's campaign manager, is doing a great job and making sure that everybody who engages with that content has been invited to like the page, because now they've already engaged with your content, they've already formed a positive, usually association with it. Capture that so that now that they're part of your natural network. The conversion rate is really high. I would say it's somewhere in the between 30% range. And you see them, you'd be like, oh, X and X accepted your invite. And it's great. And it's a great way to quickly grow a campaign's follower count. And then Marco Polo. All right, so one of the biggest things we've come across is candidates not being comfortable using video, or especially selfie style video, to do, say, like stories on Instagram or Facebook, or even just to create short pieces of content. Marco Polo app is what they call a video walkie-talkie, and it's specifically designed to get people comfortable with doing it. Well, it's not designed for that, but it's great at it. Basically, you can sign up for an account. You can then add a small number of people on the campaign or friends, the candidate, and the goal should be to get the candidate to use it every day. And basically, it's just a quick recording. Hey guys, just want to let you know what I'm up to today. Press send, and it only goes out to those people who are in your group. So they don't have to feel nervous about sending out, learning how to do selfie style videos while, basically broadcasting the entire world. This just gives them a little bit of a chance to do it personally, get comfortable with the medium, because it's not inherently intuitive, and not everybody has that skill if they haven't been growing up with cell phones. So we think it's really important app that has really helped a lot of candidates get a lot better at it. Page on additional resources.
Andrew,
Other than
we
that-
have a quick question from Amy,
Yeah.
who asks, does Facebook still have a daily limit on how many admins can invite? So more than one admin has to do ITV?
More than one admin has to do IT.
Amy, if you want to
It's-
unmute.
It's a typo. I had a typo because it's just a typo. But the question is, like, it used to be that if you got, if 50 new people that liked something, then you want to jump on that. But every admin could only invite 15 per day. So you had to draft like 4 different admins to invite the new people.
You mean,
Is it still
do you mean on light capturing?
for just when it shows you the new people that liked your comment or liked your page, or I mean, I invite them to like your page because they engaged with your post. It used to be that if they were new, only a few, I forget what the number was. I think it might be 7, it might be 15 you could invite. But if there was more than that, then you couldn't capture them and you'd have to go look for it later. But if you can always pass it off to another admin and they could invite those other people. It was just a stupid functionality, but I just wondered if they still had that.
Yeah, so to my knowledge, I haven't ever encountered a cap with that, and I've done hundreds per day. So I don't know whether that was a new admin limitation or potentially on a different kind of page. But to my knowledge, for light capturing specifically, there is no limit because these are people who have already engaged with your content. Facebook wants you to do this. Facebook wants more people to engage with more pages and a reason to come back on platforms so they can be shown ads to. So I have never encountered that limit. If anybody else does, please email us because that would be new to me. And if it used to be there, maybe they're taking it off since.
Yeah, okay. It did used to be there, but it's been like probably a year or 2 since I saw it. So I just wondering, it happens when you have like big events and you get a bunch at the same time. Anyway, thank you. That's great.
You're welcome.
I'm not seeing it as much either, Andrew, but where I am seeing it is when you're following as a page. So if I'm following other pages as the Easton DTC or as Jen Leaper's campaign or whatever it might be, and if I go in and I hit a bunch of follows, then it flags me or something and it bumps me out immediately after X amount. And I don't know what that number is, so I couldn't tell you that exactly, but that's still happening.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's slightly different, but the light capturing one I think has been alleviated, and now I'm just noticing it for page following instead.
That brings up a really good point, though, that I think the digital response team can be asked to do at least once, and that obviously everybody associated with the campaign in terms of the group of volunteers should be doing, and that's inviting everybody in their friend group to like a page. I'm just going to go through that really quick. This is not even as intrusive as sharing. It's basically, see, I'm on Carla's page. On desktop, it's right here, invite friends to like your page. Click invite friends. And some people go through and curate, and to be honest, I would tell people not to bother. All that comes up is one of those little notifications. It's really unintrusive, and it's basically just by clicking select all, you'll be sending, I've already obviously invited my friends to this, so I only have my new friends to invite. But usually it would be like all 800 or all 1,000 or all 2,000 if you guys are younger, because you guys have more friends on average. People to like that page. Again, it only comes up as a small little notification, like up here, it's one of these. I would strongly recommend that everybody in the digital response team and everybody else in the campaign team does that at least once. So this, again, is another tool that we're trying to get to help campaigns produce content, because we really do think you guys should be doing stories every day with a candidate. You should be doing an Instagram post every day, Facebook probably post that day. And so what we're trying to do is, we obviously aren't going to have as great a detail on your town and local events. You guys are going to be better at that. We're not going to be as in touch with that content. So we're trying to make an aggregated calendar for state and federal level events. So for instance, if it's a Tuesday and you guys are like, what are we going to do our Instagram story on today? it's Bastille Day, it's Shark Awareness Day, it's World Chimpanzee Day. But it's also the CGA meeting on higher education, hearing on colleges and universities reopening during COVID. So everything from the frivolous to the important. National Ice Cream Day to, there's a really great stat, and there's a couple of great portals in this that I think people should be aware of. Local area unemployment statistics for Connecticut are available. All these are links. So for instance, if you want to see how COVID has affected your town in terms of the unemployment rate over the last 3 months, I think the goal for any campaign should be try to become a source of information for their constituents that is valuable. And so if you can provide data like that, I think it's inherently interesting. Oh, Milford's unemployment rate has gone up 50% from 4 to 6% in the last 2 months. How are we going to, we need an active plan to get that down. Or if we go back to this, we found a couple of things that we didn't even realize existed before that everybody has access to. There's a Connecticut Open Data Portal, which is going to make research for everybody much easier. And basically, this is all government data put into really easily searchable categories. So for instance, if you wanted to see how many train stations there are or what the traffic is at a certain location, this is an awesome portal where we've been able to search very specific questions to answer either questions the constituents have or to plan policy. So right now, this is looking a bit light. We're putting out the calendar 3 weeks forward to give people the opportunity to plan. July and August obviously aren't going to be that heavy. But as soon as September and October roll around, organizations are smart. They know that that's when the election is. The election's in the beginning of November. So October is packed. September is quite busy as well. So you're going to want to make sure that you not only acknowledge, but also inform your constituents about things like Breast Cancer Awareness Month and National Suicide Prevention Day. And you'll see that this calendar is going to become very busy very quickly.
Can I ask another question real quick about the well, related to the calendar, but really goes back to Creator, because I really never use Creator. I've always used Hootsuite for so long. Yep. Now, do you recommend we switch exclusively to Creator? But my question is, when I did a quick visit to Creator, I didn't see like a suggested time. And sometimes I find that suggested time for, maximum efficacy on Hootsuite is like a good thing. What do you think?
So personally, I don't love Hootsuite. Does Hootsuite have backend API access to do Instagram schedules yet? Basically, can you schedule Instagram?
Yeah.
Because last time I used it, you couldn't, but that could have changed now because obviously Creator Studio, obviously including it.
It depends on the kind of account you have on Instagram, I think, but I usually schedule them all together. But but anyway, I just wondered if you have a recommendation, because you can always sort of figure out the best time to post things, but it's always been an easy cheat on Hootsuite to just say, let them figure it out, and they usually do, it seems. So, but you never check. So I just wondered what you thought. Yeah,
so I think tools like that are obviously really valuable. I personally don't love Hootsuite. I think I got used to using enterprise level software like Spreadfast and stuff for too long.
Yeah.
But at the same time, does Hootsuite have a search term available as well, so you can search other people's posts for keywords?
I think so. I haven't done it for a long time.
So if you guys are using any of those tools like that obviously aggregate your social media channels into like a Hootsuite or I think Socialfly or Spreadfast, they have the ability to search for keywords. So say if you want to find out who's posting about your candidate, even not on your candidate's page, on somebody else's page, it will find those keywords for you, whether it's Twitter or Facebook. And that can be really valuable when trying to search out content to engage with. In terms of publishing and when to publish, one of my favorite things at Facebook is just going to Insights And so we really recommend for Facebook, everybody posts at 6 a.m. or around that time early in the morning. Because when you look at, let's go to, I believe it's posts. Yep, here we go. So here you can see on the average day when your fans are online. All this time, just want to make you guys know this is Pacific time. So this 3 a.m. is really 6 a.m. for us. But what it means is you have that initial spurt of engagement in the morning. The people who, wake up, first thing they do is pick up their phone, check their social media feed. Facebook generally has and Instagram to some extent, has a natural cycle of around 24 hours. So if you want your post to go the furthest, I recommend posting it early in the morning, let that first wave of engagement interact with it. That then tells Facebook's algorithm to push it further, which pushes it for the rest of the day. Obviously, this can't always be helped. If something really important comes out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, still do it. It's still definitely worth it. But if you're gonna schedule stuff in advance, go earlier.
That's great. Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
I have a question. It might be a little bit stupid, but most of my outreach, especially for my groups that I run, is done through mostly like 18 and below, which is to my understanding of a different social media world, and I find it's different how they interact with a lot of content. Are there tips and tricks for how to interact with that age that maybe you haven't gone over, or better ways to make them interact with content and have a greater reach of that demographic?
I would definitely say tailoring the type of content you're putting out for terms of going that young is more important. Like, for instance, I find that older demographics like articles and they like links. They want to read something. We find it's funny. We found in the data going back from past campaigns that older generations are less likely to engage with dynamic content, say like a video, than younger generations are. But if they do engage with it, they're much more likely to click through. So say if you have a blog post from your candidate website and you are linking back to that, older generations are much more likely to click through back to your website or into that Washington Post article than younger people are. Whereas younger people, I'm on this site, I'm on this platform, that's what I'm doing right now. So I will like it more, I might even comment more, but I'm not gonna click through to your link, I'm just gonna keep going on to the next thing. So I would say if you're looking to target demographics like that, tailor your content. Be more engaging, more infographics, more video. That's what younger people tend to appreciate. Whereas I find some of the best things for the older demographics are, to be honest, like in-depth articles where like it starts a good comment thread underneath, or local events in town. I find that younger people tend to, and I'm really generalizing here, but younger people tend to be more aware of what's going on in terms of federal issues, whereas older, maybe homeowner type people are like, well, real estate prices have fallen in Greenfield Hill. So I think it's really about tailoring not only the format, but also the subject matter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask a question about what you just said about posting a media story? It's I guess the Washington Post is a good example, because if you don't really go into your Google search and do the whole, type the name of the article and use that link, then people are gonna hit the paywall, which they hate, right? But I think the same thing happens with the Hartford Courant, and isn't that, and sometimes they have the best coverage for our audience. Is there any workaround for that?
Current definitely has a really harsh paywall. I now have to pay for it, obviously. I would say that if you're trying to post about something that has a paywall like the Hartford Courant, take a supporting quote from the article, post that in the description with what you'd like to talk about the article, and then allow people who do have access to click through. But basically give them the sentiment and give them the point that you're trying to get across without having to try to click through.
Without
so
making them, that's a good
exactly.
idea.
So pull the paragraph out, put it in quotes, write whatever you're trying to say about that above it, and still post a link.
And doesn't that sort of punish you anyway when you post links that go off Facebook?
So to be honest, with content like newspaper articles, the answer is yes to everything. But for some things, it's much more severe than others.
Okay.
For instance, YouTube videos will go nowhere. Never upload a link to a YouTube video that like your campaign made. Always upload an individual video of the individual video file to Facebook. That's a real way to make
save
sure
from your device, right? Not from the Facebook channel, but save from your device up to the Facebook page, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So links Facebook is more aware of, and especially on mobile and stuff, it won't bring you completely away from it. It'll open up like a little web browser in Facebook, so it still sees that as kind of captured, but it definitely doesn't want to lose people to YouTube, which I'm sure happens all the time. So the answer is yes. And if you can, again, make it your platform. One of the things we've been talking about with campaigns and web pages is web pages should mainly be ClickFunnels and landing pages. You should have just enough information to get people engaged. You should be trying to achieve the goal of getting people to volunteer, donate, or follow you on social media channels. But if the candidate does want to write a long piece about an individual issue, or if they need a landing page for, say, an advertisement they're running in the future. So if anybody ever clicks on an advertisement, say about education, it should be brought to a page on your website that addresses education. It should just be your generic page. Then you should start a blog. And we've had some, Sarah has had real success in Easton posting blog content onto the Easton DTC page. And then obviously Facebook will grab the link and the imagery, and it posts just as a normal link, but obviously now it's not Washington Post, now it's Easton DTC. So you guys benefit from that content, not only in a channel where people consume more content like Facebook, but also now have that on your website to provide it more depth to people who want it.
Andrew, you might have asked a quick question.
Go for it, Annette.
So when we're talking content, and also I'm trying to, it's a two-part question, where people are sitting these days and in level of engagement. You're not a psychoanalyst, but here's what my humble opinion is: people are the Rona, and people are kind of like here, and I feel like people's bandwidth is pretty stressed out and short. So to that, if you agree or not, quotes, like I pushed out a RBG quote on Twitter and on Facebook. Sorry, Sarah, I hope you didn't mind. Just a quick RBG. I think maybe people will be more engaged by something quick, by someone they admire, and they might click on it or look at it or read it quicker than maybe an article. And I'm just thinking, because I'm in a certain age range and my bandwidth's done. So I don't know if you think about that or not, but.
I think that people do like that stuff. In terms of theme, I'm telling all the campaigns and TDCs that there's really should be three main themes of the sentiments of the type of content. First should be help. A lot of people need help right now. And I think as the economy gets worse, as we see PPP and enhanced unemployment end, we're gonna see that deteriorate. Second is hope. You need solutions and how to make this better and how we're going to come through it. And then third is anger placement. People are angry. People want to vent. We've seen a whole bunch of engagement in different towns and different feeds on stuff that normally wouldn't get that much engagement, but people are just kind of looking for an outlet. But to be more specific with your example of a quote, I think it's again about formatting the content so that it gets the best engagement that it does. So for instance, if I'm in Canva and I'm going to I'm going to post a quote, then I think this is Instagram. So I'm going to go quote, use one of their templates, grab a picture of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and throw it over here. Edit this so it's the quote, put it below, make a hashtag, you know what I mean? And then you can download this. Like literally, if I was creating this, I could do it in 2 minutes. It's just going to Google, downloading a picture of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, just swapping it out for this one right here, which is really easy. You just upload your own pictures. So I'm gonna use Josh again. There There we go. It literally just even snaps in. Well, you know, maybe he does like coffee. All right, we'll leave that. Gosh. You can change the color of the font. So one of the things that we have for campaigns, and I think that most people know this, but I'll just go over it, is we have in everybody's drive, going into just Jen Leapers real quick. We have their color schemes right here. So there's Jen's blue. So anybody in a campaign can go there, copy the blue, go back to Canva, be like, oh, I really want this to be that campaign blue color. Boom. So, and you can change the fonts too. So now within just a couple minutes, you can create a more engaging piece of content that you can put on both Facebook and Instagram that is not only branded for the campaign with the right colors. Obviously, you know, I'll put your logo on there. So let's go to Drive, Shared Drives. I'm gonna do this for Volpe. Asset library, brandings, backgrounds, and logos. Let's use this. I like the website version, actually. Let's use the website version.
So as you're doing this, Andrew, just to be clear, if you're going in to get the assets from a campaign, that's imagery that the campaign owns. But if I'm dropping in Ruth and I don't have rights to, I mean, where does that come in? So if I'm posting it for the DTC and I've pulled, you know, an image, how does that work?
So I would say that the Facebook and social media platforms obviously don't take anything that's branded with a say Getty Images or stock photo, or Shutterstock will have what's the word? They have the semi-transparent watermarks on it. Don't grab anything that's obviously people are looking for people to pay for. And you can never use images that you don't have the rights to in advertising. So you could never boost a post where you don't have the rights to that image, or you can never run a display campaign or any kind of ad. But if it's just a social media post, it's completely okay. Like these are, I think you run into a little bit of danger if you're trying to show people other people's artwork, like say an artist's artwork. I would stay away from that. But if you're simply going to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, just to use her example, images, and now if you want to be very careful about it, you can always go to Tools, Usage Rights, and Labeled for Reuse. And now these are all in the, I can't remember what the word is. These are all available to use without having to pay an artist, or they're in. Let me pull it up. I have it on our training docs right here.
And everything on Canva is okay anyway, right? Because I mean, I have a Canva Pro, and you can download all that. I mean, Nanette, I have a Canva Pro, so that makes it.
If you guys want, we actually have a 1 page here, or maybe it's 2 pages on free content. And tutorials and learning assets. And basically there's a tutorial right here which goes through what licensing rights are, what Creative Commons license is, and you know, what the different conditions possibly are for using that within a campaign. But I'd say to be safe, just go to Labeled for Reuse in Google, and then any image you get there, it's gonna be licensing free. So there's your picture of Ruth Bader Ginsburg that we want.
Awesome, thank you.
That's about an hour, guys. We're just a little bit over now. Does anybody else have any other questions? If not, we're going to say thank you very much for attending on a Monday morning.
Adios.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a great day.